It's me, Kyle Ferrin, and I'm here with Patrick Leader. Say hi, Patrick.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Let me make sure I
I
have the
suppose I don't
chat
need
up.
to watch the stream. Yeah, I'll just go to the chat room. There we go.
There we go. Now I need to have the
Oh,
chat
but I
up.
do need to watch the stream because I gotta see you.
Yeah,
Oh, how am I gonna do this? This is some great streaming here.
it is. Every stream I've ever been in is me been clicking around frantically trying to make sure I I'm doing it correctly. But that ensures that the
All right.
rest of the stream is even watchable. So worth it, I suppose. What's up, Patrick?
Yeah.
How
Not
are you?
much. I've been doing some business development here in the office, and I've been working on the game I'm working on right now, which I'm trying not to talk about.
Okay, well I won't force you then.
And no, that's all good. You've done some illustrations for it, and I don't think that makes it any more official, but
I'll draw
it's coming along
anything.
now. We're doing
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you will. Um, and just I've been a little bit low key, so it's good. But I should get back into it soon, huh?
How's your summer going? Are the kids out of school?
Not yet. The oldest has a couple more days, and the youngest has one more day. But he's only in preschool, so and then their preschool will like end for like a few weeks to give the teachers a break, and then they do kind of a
And they
they do a summer thing. The summer thing's more just playtime, so more like daycare than preschool. But we'll sign him to that because it's. Do you know? Have you ever told you about the program he's in? This is good. I hope everyone likes hearing about preschool.
if you came to a
He's
stream with me and you don't want to hear about kids, bad news.
You're doing it wrong. Uh, he um he goes to this. There's this place in the edge of town where the Bush family, but not the political dynasty Bush family, but the rich people Bush family, has set aside a bunch of land in West St. Paul, and they turned it into partially a hobby farm, partially a preschool, partially like a raptor rehabilitation center, all on the same property. And so he goes to that preschool. So they like, especially post COVID, they don't really spend much time in the classroom. They just mostly go out into the woods and walk around and do nature stuff.
I want to do that.
Which is a little makes them a little like my first child was a little bit underprepared for kindergarten, but caught up, so it didn't really matter. But we had, they had peers that were like able to do all their letters and read a little bit by the time they got to kindergarten. So if we were like, whoops, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it's probably fine. I didn't go to preschool, and I turned out
And
fine.
look how you turned out. Yeah, I did.
Oh
And the
well,
first day I
there's
was
that
there, I
counterpoint.
peed on the classroom. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we got some questions.
Yes,
The one that comes up every year. How did Kyle end up working at Leader Games? Like, who found him?
Patrick did.
I like to
Uh,
think that we both like we're sitting eating dinner, and then we were like, I just looked over at Utah, and you looked over at St. Paul, like out of nowhere, like no communication. We're like, let's do it.
yeah,
Let's draw a dragon, a really square dragon that randos will make fun
yeah.
of.
I've talked about it before, but
Um,
I'll give the condensed version, which is that I
I
drew.
can do it too if you prefer, but
Okay,
there, go for it. I
I'll
want to hear
move my
yours.
mouth, and then you. Yeah, we I was doing a lot of like D&D character commission type things, and then that led to me doing some RPG illustrations, and that led to a picture I drew of a whole bunch of goblins working its way onto the internet in one way or another. And then David Somerville, who designed Vast, was using that picture of goblins as like placeholder art. And so when he sold the game to Patrick, he passed my name along as a potential person to work with, and then we did. Then we worked together and made Vast and Root and everything else. So yeah, that's I mean
Yeah,
that's
what
the
are you
short of
drawing?
it. So in Oath, the new foundation stuff, we're making some more edifices, some edify, which are like structures that you can put on the map, that stay from game to game, and people really liked those. So, doing a couple more. One of them that I'm working on right now is sort of like a big portally thing. The person who said Stargate in the chat, pretty close. So it's like a
I
big,
thought it was an antenna.
it's a big portally thing slash antenna. So that's what I'm working on here. Um, yeah, and then if we have time, I may color it too, and just show kind of the whole process. But right now, I'm just doing the ink part. So that's what this is, and maybe I'll draw some little guys around worshiping at the Stargate. Yeah.
Do you That's a good question. How detailed are the prompts you get from Cole and from I?
How do I what? How do I detail them?
I like your answer for me, but
Um,
we for the skeletons you looked at their gear list, which is stuff they don't start the game with but earn during the game, and you're like, well, this is cool. I'm just gonna draw these 3 things on each of them, and so then every skeleton has all their gear out of the box, which was good. I think it was a good like push into the right direction for the characters in.
hmm. See, and that's something that yeah, when I get instruction, unless it's really specific, most of the time the art order I get is like a list of cards and what they do. So in this case, Cole was like, "I need edifice. I need some kind of structure that can become a ruin." And so the thing that immediately popped to mind was like, "I'm gonna make a big portally structure," and then because I can picture how I would also draw that as a ruin, and then we can have sort of the double-sided card effect of like, here's what it looks like when it's nice, and here's what it looks like when it's old. So that's kind of how I go to it. Sometimes, very few times, I've had to rework a card because I'll draw something based on an understanding that I think I have, and they'll be like, that doesn't really communicate what the game, what you do with that card or whatever. But in a very every part of the buffalo, uh, every part of the bison situation, usually we end up using that art for other things. It was funny to see when the New Foundations Kickstarter launched, one of the pieces of card art that's used in the diagrams was a piece that I drew for the original Oath, and I was like, "Oh, are people going to want to see a new card?" And Cole was like, "Funny story, we never used that one." So it is a new card. We're gonna add it back in. It's a little piece of art where a guy is like sitting in a chair with a pipe. It looks like he's yelling at someone who's playing a musical instrument, and it is on the back of the box of Oath, but it never made it onto a card. So that's what that is. So that's mostly how I get my instruction, is lists of powers or abilities. Or when I just finished the stuff for Ahoy, that's what it was like too. It was like, here are the Leviathan's abilities, here's what they do, here's a card that just says, symbiotic or something like that, and I had to figure out how to represent that in card form, and if I can make it funny, then I will try. So in that case, it's a picture of a guy like growing out of the side of the Leviathan character, and I just thought that was funny. So
The meta stream is auto captioning you, and it's doing a wonderful job.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about Meta doing anything successfully. No, that's good. It hasn't decided that my accent is unintelligible or anything like that. That's good.
Phil says we get really picky about the names. That's true.
Yeah. We had somebody who was analyzing the art for arcs today that we read on Board Game Geek, and not to spoil anything for it, but sometimes I think those, like, oh, sometimes when I illustrate the cards, I don't even necessarily know which cards go together. Near the end of a project, I definitely do, and I did with arcs, but sometimes it's just like, oh, I didn't even know those were going to be in a group. If I do, then I try and make them look cohesive, but that's definitely a thing that has happened before.
Whenever Kyle does a large group, we always like to play tag yourself in the office. So painted skies tag themselves as the little dude near the portal.
Oh, okay. I'll draw some more little dudes.
All right.
The thing about oath cards is that they're very
You can't
vertical.
open a portal with one person around. It's not cool.
It's true.
You got to open it with a lot of people around so they can see it.
The thing about oath cards is that they're very vertical. So I always like the inclination to go this way with the drawing. Doesn't always make sense because then it will just get cropped. Or the line weight will be very teeny and not read well on the smaller sized card like an oath card has. So
I made some icons this week for Opus, and they're all card effects. So I started with the poker size card and then shrink it down in the same ratio so it could look great. And I was like, I picked this nice heavy line weight because I was like, so when it shrinks down, you'll be able to see it. And then I was like, oh yeah, Illustrator, just it's all vectors. It's just gonna maintain.
It'll keep the line weight
I got these
super
cards.
thick.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's good. What is this for?
This piece
In the game?
This is going to be an edifice, I'm thinking. So it's going to be a permanent structure you could put at a location, or semi-permanent, one that will maintain from game to game, that has the potential of being either like this, or there'll be a ruined version of it too. So that's the plan right now, is to do this sort of portally building and then the ruined version also. So,
and to make the ruined version, there's just a filter in Photoshop, right?
I just plug it into Midjourney and say, ruin this.
Oh, God. All right. I withdraw my joke.
I was talking about that with somebody the other day, that it was like companies that are retroactively making any of the automated processes in their software. Like, it's AI now. And it's like, well, it does the same thing, but now we call it AI.
Like when Spotify was like, here's your AI DJ. And I'm like, you mean the thing you've been doing for 15 years?
The DJ that's named X, but whose symbol is an O.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't love that. All right, let's see. So to make it portally, I think what I will do is one of my favorite portally things, and do a sky in the background that is different from the sky you can see in the portal. I just like that. So I'll make this kind of, well, I'll draw some more little guys first. How about that? And then we'll get to the...
Is there a game of yours that's your favorite from Leader Games? You can't ask us that.
My favorite looking, or my favorite gameplay wise, the one I've played the most. I feel like those are all different answers. I probably have played, at this point, I might have played Ahoy more than anything, just because we built it specifically to have it be easier to get to the table, and we succeeded. So it's a lot easier to play. I do still really love Root a whole bunch. I think Oath might be up there in terms of like favorite published game and how it turned out at the end, like how it all looks out on the table and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm also not factoring arcs into this equation at all because I've had it for such a short amount of time. And so that might bump off one of the other ones in terms of one that I've played the most, or favorite to look at, or who knows. But I know that's not a probably very satisfying answer, but Root is probably the one that I feel like I can jump into drawing it at any moment. Like if Patrick were to say, hey, we need a new kind of raccoon or something, like I could just do that really quick and not even really think about it, just because we've done so much Root stuff at this point. That it's pretty established. But yeah, so in that way, that one's kind of my favorite too. But
I really like the card from Crystal Caverns called Intrepid. Because it was the first time I saw, like, he sent me this card, and I was, no, it's Vista. It's Vista from the event deck. He sent me the art for it, and I was like, okay, this is, I'm not crazy. This is gonna work. that was the turning point for me. I was like, I can finish this. So that helped a lot.
let's see.
I was at the Children's Museum in St. Paul and hanging out with my oldest, and got that via text or something, and I was like, all right, yeah, I can. This is gonna happen.
All right, so let's do this. Let's do.
Are you gonna draw the other side today?
Ooh, maybe. Let's see what I can get done here.
All right. Do you draw them multiple times so you're happy, or is it a lot before you go to marker?
It's a mix. So with a lot of things, I will pencil it out first and then draw on top of it. Some things not. With Oath, a lot of things were, a lot of items, a lot of cards were direct ink to paper like this, just because there were so many of them, and the cards are kind of small. Sometimes I will pencil out a composition and then ink on top of it, like a lot of Root has done that way. Sometimes I will pencil out a composition, except for things like foreground, like objects, characters, and that way when I have it scanned in, I can arrange them in Photoshop the way I like. Because on especially a large piece, like when I did the cover art for the Marauder expansion for Root, I drew the characters and the background separate, so when I put them together, I could make sure they matched up exactly the same positions of the other Root boxes, and that was just honestly faster for me than like trying to measure that out and mock that up on a paper, because I could just use the digital tools that are available. So sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes I'll do a big ink piece and think, scrap it and start over. And sometimes I'll do something, and if you like, I look at it and there's one line or like a nose on somebody that doesn't look right, I'll literally just like draw a nose in a separate area and then use Photoshop to put it together later. So there's some things I can fix. There's some things I have to start over with, but I don't know. I've never really been worried about having to start a piece over, because I always just feel like you learn more from that process anyway. If you iterate a whole bunch of times on something, your last and final result is going to be just fine too. I kind of cheated on this one because I knew I was going to do it, and so before the stream did like a little like tester guy there, but full disclosure. So I didn't know that I was going to work on
Well, that's
it.
pretty cool too, because there's no people in it. Interesting.
Yep. So
I'll tell you. Cole, Nick, and I all cheat. We use the same digital files over and over.
okay.
When we're designing games, so yeah, we'll just keep using the same card list. We don't reinvent the
That-
card list every time.
That was the entire design. That's how you guys made Root, right? You just went into the file for Vast and did backspace, 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 ROO,
And started over. Yeah.
and you're like, it's a new game now.
Do you draw at the same size, or they scale down to fit a card dimension afterwards? From Tech Jansen 3.
So if I am working at this size, this is a little bit bigger than it will end up. I do try and draw a little bit bigger than it will end up, So like here's an Altoids tin.
Because you never know what it's gonna be in a booth.
Yeah. I do scan pretty large though, and you might like I scan at 600 DPI, and that's because I like to incorporate paper texture and ink bleed and things into the final product, especially for something you're going to hold in your hand or interact with in a board game. I like it to look
Hmm.
like a physical drawing. Um, and just because it came up earlier, that is also why it's been so hard for people to recreate my stuff using AI stuff. It's because that doesn't translate well. If you want to make it look like a
Because
man,
there's no depth of field or
well, and
yeah.
there's if you want to make it look really painterly, like a Magic card, Magic the Gathering card, and then you can do that and
Mhm.
put it to scale and almost ignore um, the mistakes and things. But when the
Yeah.
mistakes are part of it, it's harder to synthesize that. You end up with lines that are a line that becomes I don't know like how to describe it. Like, oh, this person's arm became their belt or something because it's
Hmm.
interpreting those two things as equal, whereas my line work and my uh, color work is usually pretty separate from each other. Um, anyway, um, yeah,
Uh, I so the thing I always like to talk about is speaking of scale is the you when I was working on the maps for Underworld and I was like in Illustrator and I had big circles for everything and I was like I knew how big the clearings were, not the clearings, the building sites were in the
oh
clearings
yeah,
and then I was like how big are the clearings. And then you responded with, you showed me a picture. The Altoids thing reminded me of that. So you showed me a picture of a soup can from your pantry that you'd used
yeah.
to trace around to make the clearings. And I was like, well, that's not helpful at all. So then I had to go. I went to Amazon and looked up the size of that particular can, which was the dimensions were recorded, and then
Yeah,
I was able to work backwards from that.
yeah. I think you asked Cole and I, and he came back with the dimensions after. But my initial response was like, "It's as big as this can of tomato paste." That's how big a clearing is. Um, I
Oh yeah,
will.
it was just raw tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I will address just what somebody asked is that how big am I drawing these things compared to how big they'll end up. One of the big things that I try to stay mindful of is line weight. So I do know if something's going to end up smaller, then I will draw it with a bigger pen. So like for example, I'm using, I don't know if you can even see. Probably says on the side. Yeah, this is a 01 Prismacolor pen that I'm doing this with. But a lot of the things that I do for Oath, I've used 05 for some of like the shading things because it's a bigger pen. But a lot of times what I will do is a 005. That's the wrong pen too. I have pens all over my desk. Um, so this is a lot skinnier line weight, but I knew it wouldn't show up as well on the stream. I know we're already probably going to run into the fact that it's just zooming in on my horrific hands more than it's zooming on the paper. And this showed up even worse. So I'm drawing it in the 01 because this is going to show up a little bit better, and I know I can shrink it down a little bit more in the final product. Um, so let's do this. And then let's do the ruined version too. Let's do that. And I'll
Yeah.
just scoot my paper down and try and make that happen.
So
But,
Kyle is staff wizard, and I am the one standing behind it with the clipboard.
yeah. Patrick likes to tag me and him in the drawings instead of to tag yourself.
Yeah, that's true. I do that.
One of the pictures for Ahoy was a guy with a
Um,
beard standing next to a cannon and then a wild looking octopus man with an axe. And Patrick messaged me and just said, what just like, is this us? It's like, yeah.
you're you're in the water, and then I said that the axe was a flotation axe. I was about
Yeah.
to throw to help you.
Yeah.
Does the art made for a card or mechanic ever shape the game rules? I mean, Cole's done more of the all of the recent designs, so I'll defer that one to Cole if he's listening. I don't. Yeah, I don't think for Vast anything was too impacted by what the art looked like
There have definitely
for
been
the world.
some things, but it's been more like, oh, we need Kyle to do a new one, but we're still going to use this art for something else because it's funny, or like
Yeah.
we have an idea for how to still use it. So that's
What will happen more often is you were like in Mysterious Manor. I think a couple times you're like, it's not practical to do the board this way, or we can't fit this into, like it's not gonna look good, or it's not gonna be representing correctly. So
hmm.
there, Cole is a great answer.
Yeah. Let's see. It's kind of, we always have to put skeletons in our games. It seems like in one way or another. So because this is a ruin and because there's got little guys everywhere, I am gonna put a skull right here.
So again, tag yourself.
This is not a threat to the person who said that that was them in the.
I do like me some skeletons, as Kyle can attest to. I'm
I still think one of the
trying
best
to finish
things.
up cast. Yeah.
I don't know, just like I really like that we made that the Vast the Mysterious Manor pin for conventions that says, and I mean, albeit it's pretty small, but it says "Embrace your inner skeleton," and I think that's very funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Of course.
like everyone has a skeleton deep inside.
And then I always like when I'm playing the skeletons, I just tell the paladin player, I'm not trying to kill him, I'm trying to liberate his skeleton.
Yep.
To join us for eternity and running around a spooky house. There's a fan of your tomato farmer mug in the chat.
Thank you. It's that time of year.
Asks,
We've just been watering tomatoes this morning. Somebody asked what? Sorry.
I'm gonna say, I'll say you do you, not but. Brady is where, and I won't read his question. Stream back.
Okay.
Just pretend like nothing happened.
If you hold really still, the chat won't notice that anything's happened.
Brimming with professionalism. I have a piece of scenery from my Warcry set that's this giant obsidian, not obsidian, like crystal ring coming up out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're working on this, now I want the 3D printed version of this portal.
We can do that. We have the power.
We have the technology. I don't know if we do. That thing is a little suspect lately.
Maybe someone at work broke it trying to reprint parts of their car that got damaged in a tornado or anything like
none of that.
Okay.
The last thing that happened was we were printing ramps for Thunder Road, and then it jammed. Yeah.
So at least it was work related.
At least it was kind of work related. Yeah. I think Cole's working on some pieces last time. We fixed it. We replaced all the parts, and then Cole's working on it, and then it seems like it jammed up again.
No, bummer. You need to get it working well enough that you can reprint new parts for the 3D printer.
Yeah, it's funny because like we bought the part to replace it. It was really cheap, so it was two to a pack because it was so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, oh well, this might be why you need two of them because it's gonna do it again. So
Hmm.
he is working on a portal edifice,
Yeah. So this is
but
the.
it's not gonna be called. Isn't there a portal card though? It's not gonna
There
be called
is.
portal,
There is
right?
a card that's a portal. This is going
Yeah,
to have to be something
yeah,
different. Oh.
yeah.
That's Cole's problem. That's an example of Cole having to do what I did in the art. Worst case scenario, we make it a t-shirt instead. I think the Ahoy t-shirts that we wear on staff for ones that I illustrated on stream, and that's just what it ended up being.
It's breaking up a ton again.
Oh no! I'm holding really still.
Yeah, you just don't move.
Okay.
The pitch for Oath was so funny to me because Cole's talking about having to reuse the characters, and I was like, they kind of just came together one day and pitched the game to me, but they hadn't talked about it much before. So it was like this just amazing, like it was like it was watching two people high five in the dark, like or, except you can't see that because it's in the dark,
Just hearing them.
but knowing they did it, yeah, hearing it was just amazing, um, and it didn't like that original pitch. It's similar. It's not mechanically the same as it was back then, but can you make an Oath T-shirt and send it to us?
I was wearing my
What do we
Oath
have for Oath
t-shirt.
T-shirts? We have the like
We have the blue one that
like
has the
kind of
orange.
foresty creature.
Yeah, we have the blue one with the orange
Yeah, and we have the blue
guys
one
on
with
it
the orange
and
on
the
it. Yeah.
pig.
I wore that this week.
I think I wore mine yesterday. I wore it to the gym
That's
this morning.
So usually for shirts, what we do is in the fall before Christmas, we've been doing a merch drop every year, and that's the best time to get the shirts because we can scale it up.
Mm-hmm.
Shirts are. I want to be a shirt company. I mean, I love selling shirts, but oh man, it's like whenever I'm like, yeah, we should make an RPG, and then someone's like, no, because publishing or like getting books into distribution is much different, and you'll have to learn all that. And I'm like, same with shirts. You think like, oh, you just get inventory and you sell it. It should be that easy, but it's just a couple more wrinkles.
It'd be a little easier if everyone was the same size, but
yeah, that would make things easier.
yeah, the really the only way to, yeah, being someone who also sells apparel from time to time, it is really hard to do things that are a good quality and also on demand. You kind of need to do
What was
pre-orders.
your favorite?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just I jumped on you with a question here. What was your favorite roof faction to draw? Tell me.
Probably recently is the rats. Just because
The rats were funny.
well, and it was fun to do all the different mood cards for the rat warlord and sort of explore a lot of different expressions for one character instead of having, because most of the art in Root is not actually faction art. Most of it is card art, and that mostly has rabbits and mice, and I mean creatures that would be a part of any of the factions, and but are mostly represented in Woodland Alliance cards. So like for the cats, for the original Root, there's like 3 cats, aren't there? There's like 3 cats on the box art, the player board. There's like 1 piece of card art that has a cat on it, I think. But there's not very many, and I mean that's just kind of how it goes. When we did Vast, like the biggest dragon is on the cover of the box, and there are lots of pictures of the knight because of how the knight's cards works, but there weren't a whole lot of dragon pieces, and it just goes with when you're making an asymmetric game, what cards or what factions need lots of cards or other components, and which ones don't. So, it's a little
What's keeping that piece of the portal near?
magic, or that crow.
Okay. That's that crow is stationed there.
Hold this up.
The deep lore is there's like 40 crows off in a tree nearby, and they have to rotate in every few minutes.
Yeah, one of the things that I tried to do with Oath was incorporate animals like pets or environmental animals and things, just to keep this world sort of feel lived in and grounded. That, and there's a lot of like cooking. I feel like we joke around because in one of the pieces of like art for the pitch of Oath was a guy who was like making pie, and Patrick called, is it the Pie King? Is that what you dubbed the pie guy?
I mean, I think that was the title. It
Yeah.
was Pie King. I did make it Pie Maker, and then
But
Pie Maker never made it to the game. So every time we talk about
no, but
expansion
there's
growth,
yeah,
I
but there's lots of, but despite that, there have been lots of pies in the game. There's
yeah.
it seems like there's a lot of pies. But and then yeah, but so this is the
That's
ruined
a dungeon
version
crawl
of the portal. Hmm?
of the portal. There's a Dungeon Crawl Classic supplement that's is set in kind of an Appalachia area of the fantasy world,
Mm-hmm.
and there's recipes in the book, and I showed them to Kyle, and Kyle's response is, "Did a halfling write this? No, did a hobbit write
Yeah.
this? Like out of nowhere." And I thought that's still so. Did a hobbit work on your game, Mister?
Yep. I like the idea somebody posted in there about the other side of the portal being fire this time.
Hmm.
We'll still do some low hanging cloudies. But let's see, what time is it? We got some time.
Yeah,
You get to hear
I like that thing.
my scanner work in just a second here. Burp.
That's actually there isn't a scanner. He just makes that
I
noise.
just make that noise as I slowly move my hand across the paper. My augmented cybernetic hand. Let's see.
Did you are you wearing contacts now?
I am. I wanted to try contacts out. I've worn glasses only
Yeah.
since I guess it's been 16 years I've worn glasses now.
Uh-huh.
And because I didn't get them until I was an adult. And I just wanted to try contacts. My mom wears contacts. My dad wears glasses. And I just wanted to give them a try. And it was mostly just because I would go, I'd go hiking. If I wanted to exercise in any way, my glasses would get really foggy.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to try something different. And part of the reason they'd get foggy is because I always wore big glasses. I wanted to make sure it was occupying as much of my peripheral as possible. So I thought I'll give contacts a try. And Meredith wears contacts too. And I've liked them. It's been cool. I'm still probably going to get some glasses just to have for convenience's sake. But I've liked, for one thing, my prescription has changed a little bit. But it's been nice. Like, I went on a hike yesterday morning, and at the top of the hike is a waterfall, and I posted on Facebook or something, just like, it feels corny, but I feel like I got to see that waterfall for the first time, because every other time I've gotten to the top of that hike, and like the sweat on one side and the mist from the waterfall on the other side, I just have to take off my glasses. And
Sure.
so it's just been a little bit blurry, and not like a ton. Like, I don't have a super high prescription, but it's just enough that things that are far away, I'm like a superhero now. I can see so far away. Okay, so this is me going over to my scanner because I'm doing the sketch in my sketchbook. This is my scanner book. This has been sitting on top of my printer for a long time. Here, I'll hold it up to this camera. That makes more sense. This is classic tales of science fiction and fantasy. And what's good about it, besides it having some good stories in it, is that it is heavy and it is the right size to put on top of my scanner so it can hold it flat against the flatbed without having to close the lid down on top of it. You're getting into the deep secrets of how I'm doing my work here.
The real lore.
The real lore. Yeah, and pardon my desk and office space. We joke around. Meredith calls this room the room of requirement, like from Harry Potter, because this room is whatever it needs to be whenever we're moving stuff around in the house. And that is what it is. And one of my kids calls this room the void because it's where everything ends up if it doesn't have a good place to go. So, all right, let's see. I'm going to turn off this device and turn on my computer screen. Oop, sorry about the endless tunnel there for a second. Then we're going to scan. Waiting for scanner.
This is awesome. You can see all of my failed projects.
I'll minimize it. There you go. So this is in one of the projects that we when we were pitching Oath, and I had to not when we were pitching Oath, when I was evaluating how we were going to draw it. It was so fraught with me trying to figure out the right approach that this file is still called oathcolorsmaybe.jpg. And I've never changed it. Okay, so here's my file.
I like the idea that you do change it, and then it breaks like 3,000 links, and you're like, whoop.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, I don't know why I did that. I didn't change the file name. Guess I can change it later. But all right, so I'm just going to call this Gate Edifice and Gate Ruin, and I'm going to scan it at 600 DPI. And look at the chat for a second. Oh, the second voice on the stream is Patrick.
Oath. I like the idea. That's that call. Yes. Especially if you label it Oath Colors maybe at the bottom.
Yeah.
.jpg.
I have a palette like this for every piece that we've done, and the one for arcs was the most limited color palette and probably the biggest challenge illustration wise. One fun thing about my scanner is that this progress bar only works if you're scanning at 300 DPI. If you do anything except that, it's just like, I don't know. And then it waits until it's done, and it's like, we did it. So it's not really at 1%, but that's just what it looks like. So let's see. How do I go about
I remember
creating a color palette? Oh, sorry, I'm reading the question. Somebody asked about how
I'm just trivial. So go for it.
Oh, just somebody asked how I create the color palette. Sometimes I'll use photo reference. Like if there's a picture with colors in it I really like, I'll just sample some of the colors there. Sometimes, like with Root, I literally just started with a yellow, blue, and a red, like a cyan blue that I could mix together and then just only sample colors from there. And then I'll pick like an off black or an off brown that represents sort of like the tint that I'll use with all the colors when I need to make them darker, and then just a white. That way I can keep everything consistent, and like you can still tell that like I drew Root and I drew Oath, but you could also look at the color palette and kind of guess which game it's from. Yeah. Okay, so that's
It might be time. It might be time to move 2018 tax deductions off your desktop.
Oh yeah. This is. I said I wouldn't show you my desk in my office, but you're gonna get some. It's like this folder. I'll just put secret resumes or something. You know, secret plans. Let's. I already can't remember what I called it. Yeah. Okay, so process wise, here's our friends here. I'm just gonna do all my hotkey action to just make a new level or make a new layer, and then adjust the levels. And especially on works where I have visible pencil marks in the background, this is important for knocking out those pencil marks. So I can just get the ink, or like with arcs where there are pencil marks intentionally, helping me get the levels that I want to adequately. Um, okay, there's that. I'm going to go through and just with a white pencil and knock out some of these things that are probably just dust on my scanner bed or whatever. I'm going to erase this nose that I drew earlier. Won't be needing that. Okay.
Big Cartel is just it's just the shirt vendor use, right?
Big Cartel is just like a store, storefront, like
Yeah.
using Etsy or
So not a cartel.
not a cartel.
No.
Too big to be an actual cartel. So I'm going to copy that layer and make a quick mask. Turn off the quick mask, delete it. And what that does is it gives me a just black layer that has transparency on all the semi-black things around the outside, so I don't get any weird JPEG artifacts. So like you can see right there, it's going to move underneath and it actually just makes it red instead of making a weird white outline around it. That was something that took me a long time to learn for some reason. But yeah, so I will put
Wait,
this.
explain that again.
So I have.
I'm learning now.
You're learning this, see, but now everyone's going to take my job. So this is the black and white layer, but even a black and white layer where I've knocked out a bunch of things is going to have, like, you see right here, like here's a bunch of colors that represent values that are not black. So what I do here, I'll just do it again. I'll get rid of this layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this layer.
Mm-hmm.
Command A, Command C, Control, whatever. And then I'm going to make a new layer that is black. And you can do this with any color, but I want my line art to be black. So black, complete layer. Over here on the left, just below the color palette, I don't know if you can even see it for how I have the OBS cropped, but there's this thing called Edit in Quick Mask mode. I click that, and then I paste into that layer. It makes the layer red highlighted over there. Donk. So this is what it looks like in quick mask mode, where everything that I've copied into it is represented as black. I'm going to turn off that quick mask and it automatically selects everything that isn't there. And then I'm just going to push delete. And so what that does is it gives me a layer of line work that I can color underneath. So if we go back to this area that I highlighted earlier, here, and I'm gonna put a layer of white underneath. So instead of giving me all those different colors, it's just giving me values of gray, and those grays are already set to be transparent based on how gray they are. So I can take a color like this kind of red, and if I go up to it, if I had just done like select white, erase white, then it would make a weird sort of scraggly artifact around the outside. But since, and if I draw on the wrong layer, it does it completely wrong anyway. But so now when I'm drawing underneath it, it's taking everything that is transparent and it's just making it a semi-black line on top. So it preserves the line art and the color art. And then from way back, you can't see any weird lines. So does that make sense? When I do this myself,
I gotta agree with Cole. Your way's a lot better.
Okay. Do you do it in a different way? Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is that I do this every day, all the time, and so the way you do it is Command A, Command C, Command V, Command L, Command, and then it comes out a new link. Like for me to actually slow it down and tell you about how it works is like trying to describe like how a combo works in a video game where I've just memorized the buttons.
or how to tie your shoes.
Yeah, it's like I don't really think about it. I just do it.
So yeah, the whole I've done some shell shading, and all the cell shading I've done has been from Directions, who I think would even at this point write a better tutorial how to do it. The guy who draws Penny Arcade, he did like in one of his in one of the blog posts, he's like, "This is how I do all my cell shading," like in 2005. And I read it and I was like, "Oh, I can do that." So I just started using his technique. That's what I've always used since then.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in so long that I've completely forgotten all the steps.
Okay, so I'm just making a new file here with the line art on it, so I can work with it here. I'm going to do my best to sort of keep the terminating points there so I can do some flatting kind of quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all. I'm going to go to my magic wand, and I'm going to use the option version of that, which lets me unselect sections, and I'm going to try and click on all of the negative space. And here's where I find out where I messed up, you know, not closing up a line or something. And some of that, sometimes it's intentional. I just have to deal with it. But so now to avoid any weird JPEG stuff, because right now this selection is like dancing right on the edge of this line work. So I'm going to go to select, modify, and I'm going to do contract, and that's going to contract my selected area by just 2 pixels. And so what that does is it sets in all that flatting just behind the black line. And so if I go through and whoops, let's do this. Let's get another layer. Now it is going to color that in, but I won't end up with any weird edges on that either. So there we go. So it's done a lot of the the hard outlining for me. I'm not going to do all the flatting like that because I would rather just do it by hand, but it is nice for doing big areas and things like that. So yeah, we are good to start coloring. So I'm going to go grab my palette from Oath Colors Maybe .jpg and I'm going to plop it in here, and then I'm just going to use it like a regular paint palette and pull colors off there to color this how I want. So anyway, that was a lot of process stuff, but there you go.
Somebody asked if you're drawing any frogs or bats recently. Just curious, asking for a friend. I know why you're asking that.
I did draw a frog on my daughter's thank you card to her 5th grade teacher. So yes, I have to answer that question. Yes, I did. I have drawn a frog recently, and it was for that reason. Real quick, I'm just letting you know I'm setting that colored, this colored area, the pink, red, to the Purina Dog Chow. Lock transparent pixels, that's what it means. It is the Purina Dog Chow logo over here. I think it also might mean airlock or something in Aliens, but it's this symbol. Over here, I'm setting that so if I color off the edge, it doesn't color anything beyond that. So I can take this teal color and just go, and it won't draw off the pink. So yeah, I am going to give just sort of a general kind of gradient background to this one to start. I'm just going to pick some of the colors here. I want it to look kind of like a cloudy sky. And this might change, but okay, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to do this real quick before I forget that it's on its own. Layer 2. Thank you for handling the chat, Patrick.
Yeah, no problem at all. I like doing this. I like being on camera. I'm not on camera, but you know what I'm saying.
On radio.
Not that you would know it from when the. It took me a few takes to get through the oath video. uh, which was mostly ad libbed. Which was like Cole wrote a version of it. I kind of rewrote a version of it,
Hmm.
and then there was just no way to. There's not enough time to memorize it, so we got an outline, and then we kind of worked our way through it.
One of the color decisions for Oath is that because I used white so much in Root, I wanted to make sure that I was only using white in places that really needed it, like the whites of eyes or like, a lightning strike or something. And then I would lean on other colors to be highlights and stuff. So I'm doing that right now. Mm,
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, I'm just thinking
Oh, you're allowed to.
with my eyes. Yeah, I'll start from there, I think.
What do your elf eyes see?
It was a few days ago. Did I tell you about this? About they're taking the hobbits to
Uh-uh.
Isengard thing? So, my kids
Oh.
love Lord of the Rings, and they've watched
Uh-huh.
the original
Weird.
trilogy with us,
Mm-hmm.
and we somebody shared this thing that it was like some kind of old folksy band using really old timey instruments, and they were playing the song "They're Taking the Hobbits to Isengard" from the Legolas like singing meme, and
Mm-hmm.
so I showed that to my kids. I was like, check this out. So it's like da, 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 and it's like doing the whole video. And my kids are just looking at it with this bewildered gaze. Like, what is this?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, like from the Legolas thing. And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, no wonder you didn't think it was funny. You didn't know what that was. So he had to go pull up the other one. And I was like, oh, I totally wasted that thing that I thought was funny to show to my kids.
Yeah. Sometimes I run into that with the youth in the office.
And then you have to like keep up to date with all the things they're into. Andrea made me learn
I
what
think I'm doing
skivvy
a better
toilet
job
was.
than that than most adults, but
Andrea at work made me learn what skivvy toilet was. Not happy,
yeah.
not happy about that. But when it came up at home, I knew what it was. It's been funny.
My oldest hates it when I mention it, so that was great ammunition.
Yeah, it's good to feel like an old man, but also know the memes, to know the stuff. Like one of my kids is big into Five Nights at Freddy's stuff right now, and the fact that I know anything about that is like deeply annoying to them. But it's very entertaining for me, and that's what's important.
Even talking about Riz was
My kids didn't know that
were
Riz was short for
they were
charisma.
upset. Oh, sure. Well, then I knew that for your kids. Therefore, I am the youth.
You are the youth now. All right, we should get these
This is looking great.
robe guys in their robes. So one of the fun things that is coming with the Kickstarter that I got to be involved in already, and it might have flown under the radar for some people, is that we're making bandit meeples. Right? Everybody's like, not everybody, but people were like, I'm making my own bandit meeples. We'd like to see some. And so we're making bandit meeples, and it gave us the opportunity to do.
That's 60 minutes. Kyle and I are off to our union break.
Is it working now? Oh boy.
We're not quite there. I'm not. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. You're
Okay.
back.
Apologies.
Everyone should reload their page if it didn't work. I looked at a floor lamp online, so I blame myself for what
Okay.
happened.
Somebody's streaming Fortnite outside my house, and they're hacked into my Wi-Fi.
The kids are. Your wife is doing
it.
punish some noobs. Settle down.
You gotta do it. All right. Let's-
All right, so I think we need to start the Bandit Meeple story over.
Okay, we have
Oh,
Bandit Meeples
okay.
now as the short version of the story. Okay, so I'm gonna do some. I sound like the Shane Company guy. I could probably still quote that. At the corner of State Street and 7200 South. Open Monday and Friday till 8, Saturdays till 5, closed Sundays. Online at shaneco.com. How is that?
Wow. I'm clapping because
Now you
can't
have a
see
friend
me.
in the diamond business. The Shane Company. Is that like a national brand? I thought it was just a Utah thing.
It's a national brand.
Well, there you go.
As far as I know.
I thought I had a friend in the diamond business, and now I know they'll be
Lies.
they'll be friends with just anybody.
I bet you they shot that. They must have shot that intro then, like 30 or 40 times. It says it started in Colorado, so
Oh, well, there
sorry.
you go.
542 employees.
I
There's
feel
2
so
in the Twin
used.
Cities. Yeah.
I bought my wife's wedding ring there.
Yeah. It says they have 550 employees, so that would be a few stores.
There definitely were not that many in the Salt Lake location.
Just
I feel like that would have been somewhat noticeable in that area of town. Just thousands of people coming in and out of the same corner store. K Jewelers across the street is like, we can't compete with that kind of manpower. All right, I'll do
that's so good. It's so fun working with you, Kyle.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to have this job. I love being able to tell people in my day-to-day life that this is my job, because it's never anything that they hear on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's like, go to the dentist or whatever, and they're like, oh, what do you do for work? And it's just like, oh,
Oh yeah.
I'm an accountant or something. I just say, I illustrate board games remotely for a company in another state. And we get together at conventions.
I was gonna comment. We were talking about size earlier that we saw. This is a picture of Detroit on. If you do just Google image for Detroit of him, he did a lot of the Pathfinder, if not all.
Oh yeah,
of the Pathfinder like portraits for the covers of the Pathfinder when it was a magazine, and they're huge.
Yeah, well,
they're easily.
He
They're like
works
oil
mostly.
paints.
He works mostly
just
like
these big,
colored
big
pencil,
paintings.
right? Isn't Detroit mostly? He does.
I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, media. It's just so big. Yeah.
I have definitely bought games that he's illustrated based on no other information than he illustrated them.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, he evokes my synesthesia when I'm playing Heat, so you did a good job.
You can taste colors when you're playing.
I can taste that Heat card. I'm not even joking. It has a flavor. I can feel the heat coming off the engine.
Oh, sorry.
I did not know you use one on uniform brush like this.
Yeah,
I feel so dumb now.
It depends. This is one of my go-to brushes that I use is called. Let's see, where is it? Bonk. It's called
Blob.
Kyle's Paintbox Gouache A Go-Go, and it's from Kyle Webster's paintbrushes thing. I didn't name them all after myself, although that's what it appears that I've done. And then one of the other ones is a paintbrush that I use that I can't even remember where I got it. It's just this hard round sketch brush, and it's just good for doing a little bit more subtle transitions and stuff. I just like how soft it feels, and then you can do it looks really good when you do the my overlays on them, which I'm about to do on this piece in just a second here. I think I'll keep the ground more or less that purple color.
Can we do this together sometime? I want to learn this.
Sure.
I mean, it's not useful.
Well,
But
but I mean, we have plenty of people in the office who draw,
I know how to do it. Yeah. Maybe we can
and
do
they
that as
probably
a
already know.
lunchtime
I mean,
activity. Lately at lunch.
honestly, we'd
Yeah.
probably all learn from each other better ways to do things. Because it's like Cole just said, "Oh, your way's better." Like I can't tell you how many times in my artistic career I've watched someone else do something and go, "Oh, that's a way better way of doing that." There's just
No, this is.
that many
Yeah.
process things, but
I'd be way zoomed in, like doing all that highlighting you're doing right now.
well, and I will probably do more of that later to make sure I clean up anything. But part of that is just the scale that I'm working at. Part of it is for the stream, and part of it is because I know if I look too closely at things, then my left eye goes cross-eyed, and I don't want to look too dopey on
Yeah.
on the stream the whole time. All right, let's see.
Did anyone get a screenshot of that? I
Of
need.
this, I'll do it again. They told my mom I'd grow out of it. I was a baby.
Fantastic.
I
Let's
did
see if I got
not.
it.
All right, we'll keep that.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, so we'll get. Let's see.
Yeah, we're getting a little late. I don't mind.
It's okay.
Just
I'm just
gonna.
gonna.
I mean,
I'm just gonna finish coloring
heck,
this.
Alita's doing all the layout I need done today, so I'm
Okay.
free.
So I have. Here, I'll open this now. In one of my secret folders, I have this one that's called textures, and there's a lot of them that I use. But this one is the one I've used mostly for Oath, and it is basically a watercolor texture that I've made. It is just a watercolor wash that I messed with on the internet in Photoshop until I got it to a pretty much 50% gray. But what it does is that it makes it so I can use digital brushes and things, and then I can still put this over the top of it and set it to overlay in my layers and make it look a little bit more how I would have done it. So that's what it looks like set to overlay. That's no overlay, overlay, no overlay, overlay. And if I use different overlays, it affects how it's going to look a lot. So this one's a little bit more severe. It's also quite a bit brighter than the 50%. And there's some, like this area here that's a little bit more pronounced. So I couldn't really like hide the texture as easily. But I can set that to overlay. And so it just, yeah. It's like magic. This is the part of digital art where it's like the computer does it for you. But I mean, kinda, in that I had to do all the previous steps and that I scanned the overlays myself. So there's
And you need to put that there.
yeah. So, but I mean, this is one of the ones that I used for. I feel like I use this one in Ahoy quite a bit for some of the background stuff, but it's quite a bit darker. And so I can play with the opacity or whatever. But I'm just going to use the one that I usually use on Oath pieces so they all look texturally consistent. And probably a lot of this detail will be lost at the scale that it's going to be in. But I think it's just one more effort to make it look a little bit more crunchy and as a final result.
Yeah.
And then if I go into my, let's see, where's my Oath folder? If I go into like my card template file, this is one of the first cards that I did for Oath. And if I have this saved up, I'll just basically drag it in here and make sure it's cropped the way I wanted. So when I send the final files to Cole, to Patty, whoever's using them, it will be cropped how I want it already. When we did Root, I didn't know to do that. That was not something that was in the process that we did. So it led to when Root was finished, more or less, that I had to sit down with Cole on a Skype or Zoom call type thing, and then we just went through every card to see if I wanted to crop it differently. That is not a great use of anyone's time when I can just do this now instead. So I'm just going to pull this card that we just illustrated into this layer, and the white sections that are blacked out are just the edges of the card. Sometimes they're, text boxes, things that I know that will probably be covered. This is what I'm talking about. See how tall and skinny this card is. It's going to cause me problems if I don't do it right. If I want the whole, the emphasis just needs to be the portal at the top. So I'm going to tuck it down a little bit right there. And do that. I'm going to turn off the template and see that I have this section up at the top that I need to fix. So I would go back and then just ruin the whole thing. But I'd go back in and retexture that and stuff. And then this would be the file that I would save and send. So usually Patty would have like the full Photoshop file in case you need to pull layers or anything like that for marketing materials, or just if something needed to be rejiggered. And then this would be the file that would be used to insert into InDesign for all that stuff. So anyway,
in my head, the edifices were quite a bit more washed out than this, and I'm like, then I went and looked at it. I'm like, oh no, they aren't.
So
I'll be good.
This will be the one edifice, and then later when I'm not on stream, I'll do the ruined version. So there you go. That's a lot of process, but that's how it does. That's what it takes to make one oath card. So you just do that 200 something times, and
200 more streams.
You got a game. We'll see you all in an hour. No, okay. That's it.
Take care, everybody.
Okay, thanks. Bye.